the value of non-Western lives, in this case, particularly Palestinian Lebanese lives, has been diluted, has been so without worth, that somebody like Ethan Klein, amidst a genocide, can put all the attention on him and play the victim on the most spurious, the most uncredible claims of just blanket a blanket blaming an entire community of people who are literally just concerned about the death and destruction that the state of Israel, a racist settler colony nation that has been racist from its very inception, this guy, Ethan Klein, wants to make it all about him. Just now, we just saw an Israeli strike that killed 45 Gazans, 18 in Lebanon. But actually, the real victim here, it seems, it's Ethan Klein and his feelings and his claims of anti-Semitism are based on very much spurious and there's an element of hand-wringing, self-pitying, and it's not looking at a situation with any clarity, moral clarity particularly. Now, I'll say this from the onset: anti-Semitism should never be tolerated, and I always call it out. I've got TikToks that have, quite literally reached tens, hundreds of thousands of people. And when I do see comments that are openly anti-Semitic, I do reply to them and I tell people, no, this is not the way, you're in the wrong. Yesterday I had somebody said, that the painter really was onto something, but he was misunderstood. And I replied to him and I said, actually, no, innocent people being unalived in any circumstances is wrong. But people who are, let's say, a little bit close, the actions of Israel a bit close to home, and they don't want to be, calling this nation state out, and instead they flip through these mental gymnastics, these little hoops, in order to, stay in this little very convenient political bubble wherein Israel really, the government's a little bit, harsh, they're a bit racist, but actually we can't do any better, and the hostilities by those people around this small little innocent state that happens to be backed by the US and has received billions upon billions, including air defense missile systems. It's all these nations that are the problem. Now, Ethan Klein, he's got a huge platform, and it's really disappointing because there was a long time in which I was watching his stuff, so I was very much inspired by his rise to especially with regards to H3 podcast. But I was already listening to and watching his skits, and I'm still very much inspired by Teddy Fresh and Healer Klein's success, but it's really disappointing how Ethan Klein can't see the moral imbalance here, that Israel, with complete impunity, with officials speaking in their native tongue, talking openly about how the children of the other is fair game, it's complete. The power dynamics should be such that he should be able to call them out, very clearly, and because they're the ones in charge of the power. They're the ones with the power, really. These militia groups, whether they're Hezbollah or Hamas or these Houthis, they are literally responding to decades and decades of obliteration, harm that is part of the military strategy of Israel. That's not to say that I condone their actions, but I do understand it. Nor will I, it's not for me to say somebody who was not born there cannot condemn. It would be quite it would be, let's just put to one side empathy, it would just be insane. It would just be insane. It would be, you'd simply use the credibility of an argument that, obviously harming innocent people was wrong, but that is used to frame the argument so that Israel can do as they please, but they intentionally, there are in their military strategy, harming innocent people. They've been doing so since 19th century. But just to give you a little rundown of exactly, how Israel from its inception was formed, we can see with Theodor Herzl, 1985, the creator of political Zionism, talked about how, he wanted to quietly transfer the population out of this state of Israel that he wanted to have happen. And it was very clear from the onset they wanted to create a Jewish state, and have the native population, which in 1917 there was a census done. 97% of the land was owned by Arab Muslims and Christians. 90% of the people living on there were Arabs and Muslims and Christians. So how do you justify that? How do you have the audacity to have, feel entitled to a land that you realize that there are people living on it? And after the Balfour Declaration in 1917, whereby the empire, in this case Britain, through sheer just dehumanization of the native population, obviously, but also a disregard for self-determination, just a disregard for the dominoes that have been subsequently falling since then. This is a situation whereby the vast majority of people were Arab Muslim Christians, and yet they declared this Jewish state, which doesn't make any sense unless you are racist. And that is the red carpet that creates this situation. It is a red carpet of racism, of settler colonialism, and this is why genocide and ethnic cleansing comes naturally as breathing for these people who are apologists, it seems, of this settler colony state. So the power is with the nation you are, it seems, to be an apologist for. So why are you instead distracting from that situation, that power dynamic, instead of making yourself the victim? It's ridiculous. He was talking about how Hassanabi's community is toxic. How they talk about how one member who may be associated with Hassanabi, Frogan, had this Twitch live event whereby there was a tier list of what it's most Arab to least Arab, and of course the least Arab was those that like Sabra. And in this, obviously Sabra in this case is that Israeli-made hummus. So that's obviously least Arab, and Ethan Klein was put on the least Arab, and obviously that's the case. I mean, why would you? There's no both siding this part of it, and not that he's doing it anyway. He seems to be too preoccupied with defending the innocence of Israel and not regarding the real power that it plays in the real genocide that is being conducted, whereby the British medical journal, the Lancet, has said that 176,000 people are likely to be killed or under the rubble, whether by bombing or by the shortages of food, medical attention, because of course every hospital has been targeted. Out of the 36 hospitals, 4 are barely functioning. That's that disregards as well, not just health, but also the education system. Every single university has been destroyed. It is a attack on the entire people, and the only way you can brush that away and instead focus on your own insecurities and your own hyper vigilance and self-victimization is if you disregard the humanity of those people that are living there. It seems to me that Ethan Klein has a hierarchy of racism. He has one group and innocent Palestinians and Lebanese down here. He wants to fixate on imagined forms of racism, but you can't unless you're psychopathic, and you have a preconceived notion already built into your political philosophy, like destiny, and I'll be talking about destiny in one of my next videos. This is another, it seems like Ethan Klein is a Zionist. Destiny is a more vociferously racist Zionist who literally admitted, before he even done the research, that Palestinians should be genocided. But in a debate with Norman Finkelstein, he denies that genocide is happening because he likes what is happening. He doesn't want the PR blowback. He doesn't want the negative attention that comes from being associated with with conducting a genocide. But the real victim in all of this is people like Ethan Klein. Hundreds of thousands of people killed. That's fine, but Ethan Klein, that's the real victim here. It's quite sad because I was a big fan of him because he did have a common sense understanding of politics. Now it seems like his closeness to Israel through familial or through ethnic lines has made his vision a bit blurry. And I'm not even myself not Israeli or Muslim or Arab, but it's very clear from the onset that there's a power dynamic in this sort of entitlement and a dehumanization of Palestinians, which has led to the genocide that's happening right now. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. I'll be doing more videos like this in the future, so stay tuned.